So hello everyone, welcome to the channel. So in this video I'm going to show you how to export the raster dataset to your Google Drive, cloud storage, and Earth Engine asset in Google Earth Engine. So now let's get started. So in this video I'm going to show you how to export a DEM raster dataset to a Google Drive, cloud storage, and Earth Engine asset. So first we're going to load a hydro basin level 6 data to define our region of interest, and based on that we're going to clip it the DEM data, and we're going to export our raster DEM data to our Google Drive, cloud storage, and Earth Engine asset. So to load the hydro basin level 6 data, first we're going to define the region of interest. So we're going to define a variable called watershed equals to Earth Engine dot feature collection WWF hydroshed V1 basin high base 6. So we're going to use this particular basin boundary in order to select our region of interest. And next step we're going to load our DEM data. So first let us visualize this particular data. So now to visualize, we're going to define map.addLayer watershed. So we are referring to this particular variable, and we're going to set the default visualization parameter, and we're going to output the layer name as watershed. So now let us visualize this particular result here. So I'm going to run this code, and in the layer section I'm going to turn on the watershed boundary here. So now we can able to visualize this is the global hydro basin. So we're going to select our region of interest. For example, I have selected this particular study region. So you can able to see this particular basin boundary. I have selected it. So we can select this particular basin boundary using this particular option called add a marker. So I'm going to click this, and I'm going to place my marker over any basin of my choice. For example, I'm going to select this particular hydro basin, that is this particular basin. I'm going to place a point data over this particular basin. And once you did that, a new variable pop up saying in the top section called variable geometry. So in that I'm going to click this option called show generated code, and in this point data we have this latitude and longitude of this particular point data. So we're going to copy this using Ctrl C in our keyboard, and once you copied this, so we're going to paste it in our this particular variable called coordinates. So I'm going to paste my latitude and longitude in this particular variable using Ctrl V, and now we're going to turn this off. And in the next step I'm going to convert this particular this point data, that is the latitude and longitude, into a point data. So to do that we're going to define a variable point of interest equals to Earth Engine dot geometry dot point, and in this way it's going to convert this particular latitude and longitude into a point data. So coordinates referring to this particular variable, so you can also see that. And next step, based on this point we're going to filter out a specific basin of our choice. For example, I have placed this particular point on this basin, so I'm going to use this particular point to filter this particular basin out of this entire different basins data set here. So I'm going to clip it this particular basin, or I'm going to filter this particular basin out of this different types of basin that is available. So to do that we're going to define this particular variable called region of interest equals to watershed dot filter bound and point of interest. So the point of interest referring to this particular variable which containing the point data. So using that point data we're going to filter this particular basin boundary. So the next step we're going to define map dot center object region of interest, and to add this layer we're going to define map dot add layer region of interest with the default visualization parameter, and we're going to output as study area. So now let us visualize this layer called study area. I'm going to navigate to the layer section, and I'm going to turn this watershed off, and I'm going to turn this on. So now we have managed to filter out this particular basin out of this entire hydro basins. So in the next step we're going to load a global DEM SRTM DEM data into Earth Engine. So to load up a SRTM DEM, first we're going to define a variable called DEM data equals to Earth Engine dot image USGS SRTM GL1003, and this loads our shuttle radar topography mission digital elevation model, which has a resolution of around 30 meters. And now we're going to define another variable called clipped DEM equals to. So we're going to clip the DEM based on our region of interest. This is our basin, this is our region of interest, this particular one, and we're going to clip it study area dataset based on our region of interest using the clip function. So for that we are using this variable clip data equals to DEM data dot clip function region of interest. So the next step to add this layer, we're going to define map.addLayer, region of interest, color, red, and study area. So we're going to output the layer name as study area. So now let us visualize this result here. So you can able to see, I'm going to turn on the study area. So you can able to see, we can also adjust the color according to your choice here. So instead you can give it a different color, so it's going to give us a different color. And the next step, we're going to visualize the DEM. So for that, we're going to define the visualization parameter for our DEM data. So we're going to set the variable DEM visualization, and we're going to set the minimum to around 800 and to a maximum value around 7000. So the minimum and maximum, which represent the brightness and the contrast of the image, and the color palettes. So I'm going to define this following set of color palettes for a visualized DEM visualization. So this particular color palette, which is going to indicate the highest level of elevation, and this particular color palette, which is going to give us the lowest level of elevation. And next step, to add this layer, we're going to define map.add layer, clip DEM, and DEM visualization refers to this particular variable, and we're going to output as study area SRTM DEM. So now let us take a look at this layer here. So we're going to turn on study area SRTM DEM. So you can able to see from this image here, the highest level of elevation being observed towards the northern part of this basin, and towards the southern part of this basin has the lowest level of elevation, which is clearly indicated in the blue color. And in the next step, we're going to export this particular DEM, that is raster DEM, to our Google Drive and to a cloud storage and Earth Engine asset. So to do that, we're going to define export options. So export to Google Drive. So to export this particular data to a Google Drive, we're going to define export.image.drive. Image I'm going to specify as a clipped DEM, and the description I'm going to mention as SRTM drive export, and the folder name I'm going to mention Earth Engine exports, and the file name prefix is DEM 30 meters, and the region is our region of interest, that is this is our study region, and the scale I'm going to define is 30 meters, referring to the SRTM DEM has a resolution of 30 meters, and the max pixel value is 1:10 power 9. And this particular going to save your is going to export your DEM data to a Google Drive. And the next step, we're going to export the Earth Engine, export the raster to our Earth Engine asset. So to do that, we're going to define export.image.asset, and image we're going to refer the similar set of info, clip DEM, description is the SRTM asset export, and we have to set the asset ID, that is the user. I'm going to refer my asset ID here, that is the user Earth Engine Terra. I'm going to mention my Terra Spatial study area SRTM DEM, and the region is region of our interest, and the scale is 30 meter, and the max pixel value is 1:10 power 9. So this is going to export our raster data, that is our DEM data, to our Earth Engine asset section. And the last step, we're going to export this particular image to a Google cloud storage. So to do that, we're going to define export.image.cloud storage, image clip DEM, description is SRTM GCS export, and the bucket I'm going to mention as your study area bucket name. So make sure that you change to your Google Cloud Storage bucket name, and the region I'm going to mention the region of interest, and the scale is 30 meter, and the max pixel value is around 1:10 power 9. This is going to save your file to your cloud storage, Earth Engine cloud storage. Now let us run this code here. So once you did that, we have the file here, our DEM file, so you can able to see. And in the task section here, we have this unsubmitted task, you can able to see that. So there is SRTM DEM export, SRTM drive export, SRTM asset export, and SRTM GCS export, that is cloud storage export. So I'm going to click this option called run to export to cloud storage. So you can able to see here. So the task is SRTM drive export, and the spatial resolution is around 30 meters. So we're going to export to Earth Engine export, file name and file format. So we're going to click run to export this particular raster data to our Google Drive. And the next step, we're going to export the SRTM to our Earth Engine asset section. So in the next step, we're going to navigate to the task section here. So we're going to click this option called SRTM asset export. So in the next step, we're going to export this particular SRTM DEM to our Earth Engine asset section. So to export that, we're going to click this option called run. And once you did that, we have this option in the Earth Engine asset. We have the task name as SRTM asset export, and the coordinate reference system is EPSG 3857, and the resolution is around 30 meters. So SRTM DEM has a resolution of 30 meters. So now in the Earth Engine asset section, you can select your projects or the user. So for example, you're going to select the other route here, or you can also select the user this section here. And in this section, you have to give some name to it. So for example, we're going to give it as SRTM DEM here. And once you provide your name here, next step, the permitting policy, we're going to give it as a mean statistical function here. So the permitting policy is going to be the mean statistical function. So next step, to export this SRTM DEM to your Earth Engine asset section, we have to click this option called run to export this DEM to your Earth Engine asset section. So we're going to click this option called run. And similarly, to export this SRTM DEM to a Google Cloud storage, we're going to navigate this option SRTM GCS export, and we're going to click this option called run. So now the window pop-up saying initiate image export. So the task is the SRTM GCS export, and the coordinate system is similar EPSC3857, and the resolution is 30 meters. So now in this case, we can export to the cloud storage. So I've selected as my export to my SRTM DEM to cloud storage. And you can give your GCS bucket name. So you can give a suitable GCS bucket name here, and the output prefix will be in the SRTM GCS export. And last, the file format is going to be in GeoTIFF file format. So now to export this particular image to your cloud storage, we have to click this option called run. And once you did that, it's going to indicate here. So we have the submitted task called SRTM GCS export, that is Google Cloud Storage export. So previously we have exported the SRTM asset, that is we exported to Earth Engine asset section. So which took around 10 minutes to export this SRTM DEM to our Earth Engine asset section. And similarly, to export this SRTM DEM to a Google Drive, it took around 10 minutes to export. And it may take some time to export this SRTM DEM to a cloud storage. So now you can able to visualize we have managed to export to a Google Drive here. So similarly, we managed to export our SRTM DEM to a Earth Engine asset section here. So it took around 10 minutes. Let us check in the asset section here. So in the asset section, you can able to see we have this legacy asset. So inside it, we have this DEM called SRTM DEM. So we have managed to export to our Earth Engine asset as well as our Google Drive. And currently it's exporting our SRTM DEM to a Google Cloud storage. So in this video, I have shown you how to export the raster dataset to your Google Drive, cloud storage, and Earth Engine asset in Google Earth Engine. So thanks for watching, and the code will be given in the description section of this video. So give us a like and subscribe to our channel. Thanks for watching.